This is Market Snapshot with Dan French from Nova Home Loans with the latest information about home loans in Las Vegas. Now, here's Dan French.
Living it up in the city. Got Chuck's on with Saint Laurent. Gotta kiss myself, I'm so pretty. I'm too hot. Call the police and the fireman. I'm too hot. Make a dragon wanna retire, man. I'm too hot. Say my name, you know who I am. I'm too hot. And my band bought that money. Break it down. Girls hit you, hallelujah.
Welcome to the Market Snapshot. This is Dan French with Nova Home Loans, your go-to loan expert here in Las Vegas. And I'm here today with my good friend Chakits Krulsawat. I just want to say thanks for being here again, Chakits.
Oh, I appreciate that. What's going on, guys? What's going on?
It's great. It's great to be helping community here, the Las Vegas community, with answering questions to real estate and financing, and it's a privilege. Do you know that?
Yeah, of course.
So I just wanted to talk to you guys today. Chuck, are you going to be watching the Oscars today, or?
Who's Oscar?
So you're not getting your popcorn ready? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I'm not into it either. I'll be in the middle of a playoff basketball game today when that comes on. So that's not really my thing.
Oh, you play basketball? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I try.
What is it, like a Pee Wee league? Or?
Yeah, you know, I'm the tallest person on the team. So I want to also tell you guys that I think our Oscars is going to be the Manny Pacquiao and the Mayweather fight.
Who are you rooting for?
I don't care. I just want to see a good fight.
You don't like the money team?
I don't care. I just want to see a good fight.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, he's not really my thing. So, guys, we got a great show today for you. I wanted to talk to you today. One other thing I wanted to tell you is that, Chuck, real quick, did you know that the Riviera Hotel is going to be imploding soon? Yeah,
and I think that's owned by the MGM, right?
You know, I'm not sure, but it's been around since 1955. It's one of the older buildings, and it's another piece of history going away.
Wow, that's crazy.
So I think it's crazy.
When's it going down?
They said within about 6 months.
Oh wow!
So in about 6 months, they're going to probably get this thing imploded, and I'm sure they're going to get a huge audience there to see it go. And you know, like I said, it's one of those things where it's another piece of Las Vegas that's going to be only memories.
I think there was one of those longest running shows they had over there, the Showgirls or something like that.
Yeah, I think they did have something over there like that. Yeah. So, guys, we have a great show today. Chuck, I'm going to give the rundown of the show. You ready for this? Do you have anticipation?
I'm always ready. Let's get it going.
All right, guys, listen. Housing market statistics. Chuck's going to talk about that. I'm talking about the interest rate trending. I'm going to do a segment about steps to home ownership, and I think there's value in this. I think people are going to really take some notes from this. We're going to go right into education on real estate contracts. I think there's a lot of value in that too, Chuck. What do you think?
There is, because it's very important. You really got to know what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big liability. Remember, you're putting thousands of dollars down on an EMD. You're emotionally involved into a deal, and you don't want to make any type of mistakes.
I'm going to talk about FHA refinances and changes. I want to talk about this because I don't think it's going to be around much longer. Last couple of weeks, we've had rates go up, and I'm going to talk about this, but I think it's going to go away at some point where there's going to be a lot of people that are not going to be able to take advantage of this.
So you definitely got to tune in for sure and to listen to this, because this is very important information.
And then resale package, HOA foreclosures, that's your line of expertise. I'm going to have you talk about that. You know, we'll go into that segment, and then we'll finalize the show with that. Guys, if you want a question to answer during the show, you can always tweet me at 781NOVA, or you can send me a message. If you guys out there don't have any Twitter account, you can message me at 781nova.com. And guys, Chuck, we're going to give away a lunch for two to Sammy's Pizza.
Again?
Yeah. I mean, this might be a stay here at the show. So are you looking forward to giving this away again this week?
I'm always looking forward to give away free stuff.
We're going to go over all the free things that we're going to be providing to anybody that's listening to the show as well later. I also wanted to talk about, and that's going to go out to the first caller. So the first caller is going to get that Sammy's Pizza. If you guys have any questions, you can also call in to 781-NOVA, and that's 6682. We have staff standing by to take all of your calls and schedule any appointments we can schedule for you. We scheduled a lot of appointments. I had 2 last week. Did you schedule a lot of appointments last week with this, Chuck?
Just only 3 at this time.
So, guys, I just wanted to say thank you again for tuning into our show. Chuck, what's going on in the housing market?
All right, with the housing market, what's going on at this time? And, guys, this is very important for you guys to know the numbers here, what's going on, because this is going to give you an idea of the position that you're currently in, when to buy and when not to buy. Now, for single-family residents, okay, on the market, we actually went down about 1% from last week with private sales. So what that tells you is that the homes that are on the market for private sales, number one, the sellers are listing their properties too high. They can't get what they're asking for, so they're taking the property off the market. Also, what that tells you is that buyers are able to now take their time and be very picky. Now, keep in mind, if these homes are move-in ready and priced accordingly, they will not last that long on the market. Now, for short sales, for private sales, there's really not that much of a fluctuation. We're kind of stabilized on that. And bank loans, we've gone up about 1%. So there's a little bit more REOs coming in on the market. Now, this is important because what this tells you is that the filings of the notice of defaults, they are starting to foreclose on these homes and take these homes back and putting it back on the market with these listing agents. And as far as the short sales, this will show you that sellers are starting to get savvy because they understand that the market has peaked. We've stabilized. There's over 20,000 properties on the market. So sellers are still that are underwater. They're realizing, hey, I'm not going to get that extra 30 or 40,000 because at appreciating rate at 3%, it's going to take me another 10 years just to break even. So that should show you that, hey, if you're in this position, you need to call us today so that way we can sit down with you and strategize a short sale or streamline your loan.
Is it a buyer's market right now? Where's the market at?
I'm going to tell you right now, it's a buyer's market and also it's a seller's market. So if you're planning on selling your home, number one, get with the right agent. Make sure that you are educated what's going on with the marketplace. Make sure that your home is very competitive with the other markets, with the other homes that are in the neighborhood. Now, if you are a buyer, you have the right now to sit back and start looking around to see what is it that you really like. And when you go in and start writing an offer, write that strong offer so you're not wasting any time and you're getting the home that you really want.
So if you're out there and there's a ton of homes on the market, right? I mean, is there a lot to select from? Now,
if we're saying, hey, how many homes are actually on the marketplace total? This week we have over 11,000 homes on the market. That's a lot of homes, and that's only according to the multiple listing service. Now, also, what I've done was I pulled some information as far as how many rental properties are out there. There's over 3,200 rental properties out there. What this means to you is that there's too many rentals, and if there's too many rental properties on the market, what happens is the investors that own these rental properties, there's so many rental properties on the market where the price to get the property leased, okay, it's too high. So what's happening is the people that want to rent, now they're flocking over to get a loan, to buy a home because it's cheaper. But what's happening is investors are starting to get more savvy because since last week, there were over 300 properties that actually got leased. So what's happening is now these investors are dropping their rental pricing down below the cost to get a mortgage. So now they're starting to see a little bit more fluctuation on the rental side. This is going to play a big factor on as far as should I buy a home or should I rent a home. So, be prepared and we'll see what we'll have in the near future with this.
Well, Chuck, I appreciate you giving us an insight. Do you have any stories you want to tell us about last week on anybody you worked with that maybe experienced one of those?
Yeah, the reason why this is very important is because we had 3 clients that came in last week, but we actually sat down again. How we educate the clients on how the real estate market, what's going on.
Right.
And there's a client that we were dealing with that sometimes clients kind of want to take their own direction, even though that we educate them, we prep them, and they understand what's going on. And sometimes clients want to go out there, write their own offers, and say, hey, let's try the low ball offer. But what I'm starting to see, this happens all the time. I mean, after, you know, like 400 something transactions, I see this a lot. You know, we go out and we look at properties, we write them an offer, and I make a suggested price on what needs to be done, because based upon today's market, hey, this property is moving ready, it's located in a great place, this is what it's going to appraise for. If you want this deal, you can't ask for closing costs, okay? And you got to ask for a little bit more to get this deal done. Now, keep in mind, as an agent like myself, I'm a professional. This is what I do. I do this 7 days a week.
Yeah, you're a very good agent too, and I want to commend you on that.
Oh, so, thanks, Dan.
You're welcome. So here's the deal, guys. We're going to talk a little bit more about housing here down the road. I want to talk about where interest rates went this week, and I want to talk about mortgage bonds and where they finished. You know, rates again finished worse than expected. We lost about 1/8 of a point this week, and for the last couple of weeks, we've actually been losing pricing on our rates. I've seen this consistent. It's been very volatile. Monday or Wednesday, we lost quite a bit on that specific day. We gained a little bit of it back on Thursday, but then again at the end of the week, we lost about 1/8 of a point. And a lot of indication from me, I look at what's coming up, and as far as things I told you about the employment and how that really puts an effect on what the rates are going to do for that specific week. And again, it came in worse than expected.
What does that mean to the consumer?
What it means is that if I'm looking at some things that's going on in the market, and if data comes back and it's better than what they said, then a lot of times what happens is rates will end up going up because of it. And the reason for that is because bonds is a very slow yield, and it's actually a less risky of an investment for investors that are out there. So what they do is they take that money out and they put it into bonds when they see something that is very significant, like maybe something going on in the world. Maybe that there's data that's worse than expected. So these things, they take that money out and they put it into bonds, and they get that slow yield. It's more of a safe or secure instrument. But if they see things that are growing, it's better, the economy's getting better, and there's no real negative news in the world, then they take it out and they invest it in other areas, and they don't invest it in mortgage bonds. So when you see that data, and I look at it and I review it every single week, I get a report at the end of the week as I'm reviewing it stating, hey, this is where prices is going. And, you know, I had a person come in, this was about a month ago, waited on trying to get this interest rate locked. And, you know, now it doesn't really make sense for them to do the refinance because they're not saving enough money. So, guys, it's very important that if you're in a position and you have questions about where rates are going and headed, you know, nobody has a crystal ball, but I can tell you that they've gone up the last couple of weeks. And if the news keeps going the way it is, they could still keep creeping up. So I really want you guys to really call me, take advantage of that. Again, you can call me, schedule a free consultation with me. You can call me at 781-NOVA-6682. And I have staff standing by right now to take your calls. We'll schedule that appointment next week. And I also wanted to talk to you guys about that we will be providing during this show, I'm going to say it again, a free appraisal and a free inspection if you get a loan through us.
Whoa. Did you say free inspection and appraisal?
And an appraisal. And we're going to talk about this later. We're going to go over a short list of things that we're offering for listening to this show. So we really appreciate you guys listening. You guys are the ones that make this show. Please give us a call. You can always reach us in studio at 702-953-7296. And if you have a question or anything, please give us a call. Chakits, I wanted to talk to you about steps to home ownership. Okay. You ever dealt with somebody that comes to you and asks you a question about how do you get into a home?
Yeah, the first thing, what we do is, you know, set up an appointment with the client and educate them on what's going on with the marketplace. But the first thing that we need to do is figure out exactly what they qualify for, and we actually send them on over to you to get them approved. I mean, that's the first step, because before me looking at a home, you know, we need to find out exactly how much you're approved for and how much your monthly payments are going to be, so that way I can determine exactly where the price point where we need to be. So that's the first step.
Well, I put together a process that we go through, or I go through. And guys, here's some of the problems that people go through and they don't really understand. They start looking for homes when they don't even know what they're qualified for. And most people start off and they go, hey, I want to go look at a house, and then they contact a real estate agent. And I'm going to say 9 times out of 10, they put that cart before the horse.
And this is very important because the problem in today's market, you know, it's so trendy. Homes are selling pretty quickly if it's priced correctly. And if you find a home that you fall in love with, you know, you're wasting time because by the time you get an approval and you write an offer, that deal's already gone.
So let's go over this. When you start looking for a home, the problem most people have, they do not get approved for the loan, like I said. And then what they do is they go to me and they say, okay, here's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a home in this area, in this range, this price range. And a lot of times people don't even know if they're approved for that house. I talked last week about this. The main things that you really got to do is to really start and look for a home, you got to go through 3 things that I think you should consider even before getting a loan. So this is really the pre-start before you actually get into, you know, trying to get pre-approved and get a loan itself. One of the things you really got to look at is your interest rate. You know, the most important thing about that is that it dictates your payment. It also will dictate how much you can get approved for. The other thing is fees. What is the company charging you in fees? You know, my company, I've looked around, guys. A lot of people, competitors. There's not too many people that can give a fees that as low as Nova Home Loans is providing. So I would really take a look at that because that could really play a huge factor in what is your overall outcome as far as what you're paying for loans.
And guys, I'm standing by Nova Home Loans right now, and I'm telling you, I'm also doing a loan with Nova Home Loans right now as we speak.
The other thing I wanted to tell you is service. You know, what is it that you're getting from that company? Are you getting the service that's needed? Are you getting the things that you're looking for as far as, hey, am I getting updates? Am I getting email updates? Am I getting calls from my loan officer? Is everything in place, and does it seem like everybody's there to help me at that company? And that's a big thing, guys, because listen, you want to have people that are going to take care of you. You want to have people that are going to be fighting for you. They're going to be, you know, organizing everything for you from A to Z, and you're not having any issues. And the biggest thing you want to do is meet the close of escrow date, because guess what? That makes everybody happy. You know, the last thing you want to do is have huge problems. Everybody's going to have problems in mortgages, but you don't want to have any huge problems going into it. So once all that's done, Chuck, real quick, I need to tell you something. Why is close of escrow important?
The reason why the reason why that's so important is because when a buyer and a seller mutually agrees and you have a binding contract at that point between the buyer and the seller, you know, you guys are going to come to an agreement where there's a certain amount of time that you need to execute this transaction and close it on time. So that plays a big part, because if you don't close this file within that set time period, what happens is you will lose that deal. You will lose all that time and effort, emotionally involved. You'll lose that money on the home inspection. You'll lose that money on the appraisal, and also you'll lose your EMD. So it's very crucial, okay?
Yeah, and if you guys want to call in again, it's 702-257-5396. You can reach us in studio for any questions you have. Again, want to talk to you. We're going over right now the steps of home ownership. And, you know, one of my things that I look at is that all my competitors, and I'm talking about other people, loan officers, they really make it harder than what it is. You know, they make it really hard where they feel like, you know, the client seems like it's really a hard process to go in and get a loan. They think it's going to take, you know, it's going to cost a lot of money to get this done. And I'm here to tell you guys that's not the case. The case is we do it very streamlined. My consultations are about 30 minutes when you come in and meet with me. And I really look to save you guys money. I really do. I mean, like I said in previous shows, a lot of times we can give what's called a lender credit, which offsets some of the costs that you come in for getting a loan.
Now, is there a charge for that consultation?
That's a free consultation.
Oh, I love free.
So you really got to look at that, because, again, like I said, we're really trying to help you. I'm trying to help you. My thing is I want to get you in there, get into a quick process, get the minimum requirement for documentation. I want you to come in, sit down with me, and you'll be in and out, and you can go on with your day. And I think that's a very, very important thing. People don't want to sit there and crunch numbers and talk about mortgages and things like that. They want to go out and get out and do the fun things, which is looking for a home. So if you look for the first step of home ownership, it's finding out what you're approved for, you know, what your monthly payment will be, what you're comfortable with. Everybody, like I've said, has different goals, and that's important. You know, I had a person call me from a sign, and she's like, hey, you know, I want to get into this house, and it was like a $350,000 home that they were trying to purchase. And when she finally came in and met with me, she was only approved for a $200,000 loan. So she was really looking at a home that wasn't in her price range. I know she fell in love with it. You know, she found a home now that she's comfortable with, but when she got into it and when she was looking at that home, she really was not qualified for it. I'm sure you've dealt with things like that, right?
Yeah, and also I want to mention, you know, from the buyers, what I get from what they always say is that, you know, these guys think that because they're getting a home approved, getting a loan approved right now, it doesn't mean you have to buy a home today. It's important to get this so that way you know where you stand. Not only that, if you're approved for $1 million, it doesn't mean you have to spend $1 million.
Right.
It just gives you a step of, hey, this is where I need to start. You know, I can start looking at homes at this price range or this location. So, guys, that's very important.
Yeah, and here's what I do is I put a game plan together. Let's say you don't want to buy a house in the next 6 months, but you're still curious about what you want to approve for, or maybe you have things that need to be fixed. Well, if you do get approved, after 60 days, I just ask for updated pay stubs, updated things that's needed to keep you approved and make sure that there's no changes. And guess what? That approval letter is reissued to your real estate agent and yourself, and you have another 60 days to look for a home, make offers. A lot of times I get people that call me and they say, hey, listen, I want to get into a home, and then they might not be qualified, or even if they are qualified, they say my time frame of purchasing, I'm in a lease, it might be 6 to 8 months down the road. Guess what? You can still get approved. That doesn't mean you have to use that approval letter in that 60 days, but guess what? When you see that, you know you're approved for a loan, and you know where you can start looking.
Now, just because you're approved for the loan and you're about 6 months out because you currently have a lease, the good news is that we can still go out and start looking at short sales because the short sale will not close on the time. And keep in mind, on the contract, we can always write that, hey, it's subject to, you know, the lease coming due,
right,
and this is when we're going to close.
Right.
So it doesn't mean you have to wait until you move out of the property.
That's 100% right. And then we look at the next step, guys. The next step is your property is now placed in escrow. So once your contract is accepted, once we had the approval, now you made an offer, your contract gets accepted by your real estate agent. The next step is your real estate agent typically will put this property into escrow. What does that mean?
Well, now when the property goes into escrow, now that means that the buyer is tied up to the property and the seller is tied up. So nobody else cannot put in an offer on the deal. At this point, everything will take place when you have a fully executed contract. Your due diligence will begin. Okay. Now, what a due diligence is, it's a mutual agreement between buyer and seller on a certain amount of days where the buyer has to do all their inspections to a home to make sure if they really want the home or not. Okay. While that's also taking place, Dan will be taking on the paperwork and processing the loan, and you'll be in contact with Dan, and he'll work on that side. And while this thing is in escrow, at that point, the title company will pull a preliminary report to the property, so that way, as an agent, myself, will go ahead and take a look at that prelim report, so that way, once we close this transaction, you are getting a free and clear title. So that's the main thing here, and the only way to make sure that you're getting a free, clear title, it's very important to work with an agent that's seasoned, that understands and knows how to read this report. The last thing you want is to close on this deal, and you find out there's a lien, and you owe more than what this property is really worth.
So right after they place that into title, you're going to come back in and meet with me. I'm going to have the initial application paperwork ready for you to sign. Okay, you're going to meet with a member of my team. They're going to sit down. They're going to go all over all the things that we discussed at our first initial meeting to get the approval. They're going to request for you to get more documentation, updated things, and really gather all the information so you're getting ready to go into processing. Okay, right after that step of going and putting you into escrow and meeting with my staff, the next step is going and ordering an appraisal. And how important is having an appraisal management company?
Oh, very important, especially, you know, when you're doing the financing. I mean, you want to make sure that you're buying a property at fair market value.
Right.
And, you know, let's just say if the property praises less than what you submitted the offer on, keep in mind, I always write a contingency in our contract where it's contingent based upon the appraisal. And that's very important.
And the thing with Nova Home Loans is we have our own appraisal management company, and that's important because there's a lot that says with that goes with like efficiency. You know, we get appraisals back very quick. You know, this is an affiliation of our company, and you know we can't pick and choose who's on there, but we can kind of ask people to be on there that have done a good job in the past, that have had a good history, had success, And it's great because, guys, I get appraisals back very quick. For everybody else that's out there, it's like a 7 to 10 day process. I usually get my appraisals back in 3 days.
And guys, this is very important because remember, we have a close of escrow date on a certain period of time. So all this stuff needs to be done quickly and managed properly. And if something comes up, myself or Dan can address the issue immediately so that way we can close on time.
So once the appraisal comes back, I put together a checklist. And here's the good thing about this. Every time that you go in and a next step on the process of that loan is moving forward, you get a checklist, an email checklist that goes right to your email that says, hey, we're now going out of into the initial process of doing the application, out of the appraisal. Now we're going into processing, and you're going to get a checklist every time that comes through an event that occurs. That's what happens. So right after that, you're going into processing. Now, processing's their job is to really gather all the information, make sure, and they're detailing that file. Because, again, at Nova Home Loans, what we do is we try to put together everything up front, and that way it's ready to go by the time it hits underwriting. When it hits underwriting, which is the next step, underwriters really are going to pick apart that file. But if we do our job up front, which we always do, we don't have a ton of conditions. We're going to go to break. When we come back, we got a whole lot of show left. Please tune in. We're going to give away the lunch for two, still the Sammy's Pizza. Welcome back to the Market Snapshot. This is Dan French with Nova Home Loans. I'm here with my friend Chakits from Simply Vegas. How's your Sunday going, Chuck?
I love every single minute of it.
So, guys, we're going to go right from the previous segment of our show. We're going to go right back into what I was talking about before we cut the break. We had a situation where I was talking about the steps to home ownership, and I was in the process part of going in underwriting. And when you go into underwriting, I mean, they're really looking for things to not approve the loan. You know, it's not, I don't want to make it sound horrific, but it's what it is. They're just making sure that they're covering our company and everything else that goes along with the loan. But at Nova Home Loans, we really gather everything up front, get the details out of the way, and then you guys are ready to go and sign a title. And the next step is going to title. So what happens is my company will order documents that are sent to title. You go down to title, you make sure everything is exactly what you signed up for. I go to most of my, title signings. I'm not going to say all of them, but most of them I go to. And when you go down there and you sign, it's pretty much everything that you signed up for in the beginning. That's not done yet. Now what you got to do is you got to wait till the funding department, which we do that in-house as well, comes through and they fund the loan. And then guess what? Chuck, you ready to give them a set of keys?
Yeah, of course. Now, while that's taking place where, while the buyers are going down to sign docs at the title company, it's my job to go down there too as well to make sure that the HUD is correct and making sure that based upon the contract, what buyer and seller mutually agreed on, you're paying what needs to be paid for. Mm-hmm. And sometimes the escrow officer will overlook that because what happens is we'll typically go with a title company that the listing agent chooses, mm-hmm. Okay? But keep in mind the title company is a third-party company, and they don't represent no sides. They're just a mutual party. But it's my job to come in to make sure that you are paying for what needs to be paid for, and that's very important because if there's something in there that you shouldn't be paying for, we can save you hundreds, even thousands of dollars. I need to make those corrections immediately.
Right. And, some of these people out here, they've bought multiple homes. And listen, we all bought our first home. The people that are listening that bought multiple homes, right? They're not so excited. But I remember when I bought my first home, I couldn't sleep the night before. I was ready to go get a set of keys and I was basically tossing and turning all night. And, you know, when I got there and I opened the door, it's a true accomplishment. I mean, it's the single biggest investment a middle-class person is going to make. And when you get that feeling and you have home ownership, you have a sense of pride.
Mm-hmm.
You know, do you remember your first home, Chuck?
I don't have a home.
Oh, you don't?
I'm just kidding.
Are you renting still?
No, I actually have a few homes and a bunch of rental properties. But anyway.
By the way, there's no problem here. If you're still renting, you're still doing fine. It's just when you get to that level of home ownership, like I said, you get over a hump and you feel like, okay, now I'm accomplishing things. And there's there's some pride in that. And, anybody that we do on our first, we help them get their first home, I really feel good about that. It makes me feel good because I'm educating people that maybe have never done it. There's a lot of help in that as far as, hey, I helped them get into something that they were really striving for. A lot of people sometimes save money for 2-3 years before they consider even buying a home.
That's correct. And remember, this is like one of the biggest purchases that somebody can make. And you really need somebody that you can trust and really take care of you. And once you build that dream team as far as, your agent working with your lender, that's a big factor because these guys got your back. And they're looking to make sure that you're getting a fair deal and you understand the process of getting a home. And that's why we're here for. We want to hold your hand, walk you through the transaction, right? Mm-hmm. And navigate you through these landmines.
I want to go to a Twitter question. This question is from Olga. This question is, how will I know how much money I need to close if I wanted to get a loan, and what are other options I have if I don't have enough money? Well, I mean, Nova Home Loans, again, we have options. I talked about if you're getting an FHA loan, if you're a veteran and you can qualify for a VA loan, we can give a lender credit, and what happens is you still got to come in with a down payment if it's an FHA loan, but if you're, say, you're a little short, you're not getting closing costs, well, we can offer what's called a lender credit, and it's basically a rebate back to your closing costs. That's a great thing to look at. The other thing is we have that grant program. This is not for everybody. I'm not going to go into details about it, but there's a 4% grant program that we can offer, and if you really have nothing coming to the table, now's the time to reach out to me and say, hey, listen, I need to know my options for that. And Olga, if you're listening, give us a call. You can reach us outside studio at 702-781-NOVA. That's 6682. You can schedule a free consultation with me. You can also sit down. We can talk about how we can help you with that the down payment, if you are not the down payment, but the closing costs and money to get into a home.
And also, I do want to add that, remember, you're going to get a free appraisal and also a home inspection with us too as well.
Are closing costs being negotiated right now on properties?
On certain homes, and it really depends on the transaction. That's why, working with a real estate professional, by looking at that property and evaluating the situation, I can give you a sense of direction of how we need to write an offer in order for us to get it accepted. I
got a second question coming across here. I want to answer this question. This question is for Jeff. If you're listening, I have only been on my job for a year, and I was told the required time for employment is 2 years to get approved for a loan. Do you have any options after 1 year? Well, Jeff, there's many layers to this. You really got to sit down and talk with me. I got to see your overall picture. Everybody's situation, especially for 1 year employment, is different. What you can do is if you have an FHA loan, let's say you went to school or college and you got out of school and you went right into the profession or whatever line of work that you're doing, I can use your history with your schooling and add that into the loan itself and use that as a 2-year history. The other thing I can do is if you want, we can look at and see if you had employment gap. Let's say you were working and then you had a small employment gap, you maybe 3 or 4 months, something like that, and then you went back to work. I do have the ability in some cases to string those years together. Let's say if it goes the previous years that you worked in that, in between that employment gap. So that could help. The other thing is that I might even have the opportunity, if you're self-employed or somebody out there, I can run you through a system that we have and try to get where we can approve you for just 12-month history of getting income. So there is options. There's so many layers to it, though. It's really important for me to sit down. Everybody's different, and I got to see your overall picture and really put the game plan together so we can tell you what you can and can't do and see if we can approve you for a loan. I also want to tell you that, everything is a little bit more simple than people think. When you go and you get into the process, I talked about this earlier, it's a process that Nova Home Loans tries to make it very simplistic for you to come in, because again, we don't want to oversaturate or over detail things, especially getting into a loan. When you do get into a loan, we want to make it as easy as possible. And with that free consultation, I'm going to really give you a nice blueprint of things to look at, so that way we can get you approved for a loan if you can't. And again, guys, free credit services. Nova Home Loans has a free credit services department. If you can't approve for a loan at this point, we can put you in a game plan to do it. I had a couple weeks ago, I had a guy that was, 4 months. He was looking to try to get his credit up to be able to get approved for a loan. Finally calls me up and he goes, hey, your credit services said, go ahead and pull my credit. I think I'm ready. And it's a great feeling when you put the effort in and you put the time in and then you get what your result is. That's a great feeling for somebody like that,
Oh, yeah, definitely. And that's just the same case that we're working with Souza.
Yeah.
I mean, they got a bunch of issues, but, yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Credit services is working with them. They have some time out there, but, they're putting it together. They're making it happen, and sooner or later, they're going to end up getting a home. If
you guys have any questions, again, on the show, you can always tweet me at 781NOVA, or you can send a message if you don't have a Twitter account to 781nova.com. You can always reach us inside studio at 702-257-5396 if you have any questions. And you can reach us outside of studio if you want to schedule an appointment. It's 702-781-6682. That's Nova 6682. Chuck, I want to talk about, let's go and move on down to the next segment here. I want to talk to you about education and real estate contracts.
Now, this is very important because each transaction is unique, okay? Now, once we go out and we identify a home that you really like, the first thing I do is analyze the property, see what they bought it for, how many days is it on the market, is it an REO, is it a short sale, and what type of REO, is it Freddie or Fannie Mac? Because these type of entities, they're asking for certain items. And at the end of the day, once I submit an offer, the listing agent is going to want to know that, hey, if I'm working with this buyer's agent, is he experienced and can we get this deal closed? Because at the end of the day, the listing agent wants to make sure that the deal closes on time and a smooth transaction, because the listing agent does not want this deal to fall out, because if it does, it makes him look bad. Mm-hmm. So this plays an important role as far as, submitting the proper contract. So I'm going to give you a case study that we're currently working on this week. I have a client that had submitted a full price offer, and, we got a counter offer back, okay? And the counter offer is basically saying that he's waiving all his rights. Now, here's the thing. It is my job and my duty and my fiduciary responsibility, also my obligation to my clients, to explain to them what this contract means and what you're getting yourself into, and give them an option. If you go with Plan A, these are the repercussions that could happen, Plan B and Plan C. At that point, my clients will let me know, hey, Chuck, what do you advise us to do? And I can give you that, information and also my opinion. And if we were going to move forward, we'll go ahead and move forward. Now, this contract that I'm talking to you guys about today, we submitted this contract and they came back and they were asking for all types of items. And my client does not have any rights. And one of the things, by looking at this contract, I can tell you now that this contract was already pre-written as far as the counteroffers and addendums. Mm-hmm. So by looking at that, I was able to determine that, hey, this was already all pre-written. Mm-hmm. Okay? Mm-hmm. And the way I wrote the contract, when they counter back, it was all pre-written, so it just doesn't make any sense. So now this contract is so convoluted, I need to go back and recounter them and make sure that we do this contract right. And based upon how this contract was submitted, I'm able to determine that this is a big REO account and that they're doing multiple contracts and multiple offers. So you need somebody like myself to help you out, because you don't want to lose your rights, and that's very important. Mm-hmm. Because once you put your money down as an earnest money deposit, you will lose that EMD if you breach the contract, and trust me, you will. And you need somebody like myself on your side to protect you, mm-hmm. okay, and to educate you and hold your hand as we're walking through this contract.
That's great. So you guys have any questions on contracts, give us a call in studio, 702-257-5396. And I'd like to talk to you about any questions you have pertaining to financing or real estate. We're here to answer those questions now. We still have nobody that's going to take this 2 for Sammy's Pizza. Please give us a call. We're going to give a lunch away for 2 for Sammy's Pizza. We'd love to, for the next caller that calls in, we'll provide that to them.
I do want to mention that there are a couple things that I do put in my contracts to make sure that you're protected. Number one is the due diligence period, and that due diligence period is a time frame where the buyer needs to make sure that they really want the home. If not, we can cancel out and receive the earnest money deposit back. And this is where you'll do all your inspections to the home. Number two is the contingent period as far as the appraisal is concerned. Okay, so that's very important. That needs to be in place. Also, the HOA resale package. So what that is a homeowners association package, rules and regulations, and bylaws.
Anything else you have to say about contracts? You got any more information for our audience?
Yeah, you guys can go ahead and call us in at 702-781-NOVA, and we'll schedule an appointment, and we can talk about this all day long.
I want to go over and talk about some of the things that people have been talking about with refinances, and I talked a little bit about this in the beginning of the show. Everyone listening, there's a lot of changes that's gone on. Values have changed, guidelines have changed, and if you've been told no, this is by anybody that you went to get a loan through, give me a call, because I'm always there to give a second opinion. And I've told you free credit services, game plan that Nova Home Loans and myself can put together for you. It's very good, and if you can't get into a home, not everybody can get into a home. There's sometimes, I had a VA person that went to another company last week, and they never gave him that option, but he didn't even know he had that option, which is kind of ironic to me. But if you've been told no, give me a call, because I'd like to sit down and talk with you and see if we can help you get into a loan. With the refinance situation, everybody's been talking about the FHA mortgage insurance, where it's decreased. They've dropped the amount of insurance that they're charging on loans now. And this is not going to stay here forever, where you can take advantage of this. There's a certain amount that you have to make on every single, or a certain amount you have to decrease your payment on every loan that you do. And since interest rates have been going up, you guys really need to take a look at this and say, hey, can I really get this done? And how much time do I have left before it's actually going to get to a point where it's not going to make sense anymore? So, I told you this last week. I had one gentleman come in. I saved him $267. I had a lady come in last week. We saved her $213 just off of reducing her interest rate. And we just barely reduced her interest rate, but we also reduced her mortgage insurance, which is a combination. And the loan amount was high enough where we reduced about $213.
$213, that's like a car payment.
Well, I don't know what car you drive, but the other FHA situation we have is we have the ability that if you do have a loan that's FHA, let's say you want to go and try to get a conventional loan, we can always remove the mortgage insurance from the FHA loan by going to a conventional loan. And a lot of people, again, they have equity in the homes. They have that opportunity. They have maybe rates that are still a little bit higher than what we're going for what we currently have now. And I don't know how long this is going to last. If you're in the high 4s, low 5s, we're going to save you some money, and you can possibly remove that mortgage insurance if you have enough equity. If you don't, well, guess what? We'll still reduce that. We'll still reduce your rate. You can still go back onto a loan through conventional, and you're going to put yourself in a better position, because if you have to have conventional mortgage insurance, we can still remove it at some point, where FHA, you don't have that opportunity. And I think that's a great thing as well. So people need to take advantage of it, because if you don't act now, rates have never been this low. And I said this last week, since the middle of 2013. I traced it and I looked at it. You see this all the time. If you don't take advantage of it now, who knows where they're going to be at, let's say, May, June. You might not even be in a position to even consider refinancing your home. And I think right now that window is decreasing because of what I've seen in the last 2 to 3 weeks.
So if somebody wanted to get started and to figure out their position and they wanted to meet up with you, what are the things that they actually need to get started?
Well, here's what they need. They just need to come in. They give me a mortgage statement. Okay, I'm going to look and see what their mortgage statement and interest rate shows. And in a lot of cases, all you need to do is bring in maybe assets, maybe some assets to show that, hey, I got funds to help close this loan. You don't have to have funds, but it's little money out of pocket if you come in and meet with me to get a loan done through FHA as far as doing a refinance. And the other thing is sometimes you just have to show that you're working. So it's very limited for the opportunity that these banks are providing, because it does help, and it's not a lot of work on your end. It's really, as they say, streamlined to get this thing done. And then the other thing you got to look at is if you have a situation where you're a veteran. I've done VA loans, little to no money out of pocket, and I've really reduced a huge amount of their rate and saved a lot of veterans just in the course of the last 3 months where rates started to really get to the point where they're at, hundreds of dollars, and I don't know about you, the hundreds of dollars, if $200, $300, $400 to me, I can put that money in my savings account and save it for a rainy day like today. Today looks like one of those days where you can have it. Go ahead. So anyways, I wanted to talk to you also about, we're going to talk about if you have not exercised the opportunity to refinance your home, if you have not looked at an opportunity of maybe getting a second opinion on your home, give me a call. 702, you can reach me at 702-781-6682. That's 781-NOVA. To schedule a free consultation. If you want to call in studio today, you can call in and ask a question. Anything regarding financing or real estate, 702-257-5396. And guys, if you have any questions on where you think rates are, or you have questions on where rates are going, if you have questions on what your mortgage statement is saying, if you don't know what type of loan program you have, I can pull credit on you. I can find out what loan program you have, and then I can give you your options. The other thing I wanted to tell you is Chakits is going to talk here a little bit about, we have a real estate resale package, and I wanted to talk about that with you. Also a little bit on HOA foreclosures and see what his take is. Give us a little bit of information on that, Chuck.
Well, part of the contract, if the home is located in a HOA community, by law it says that the seller must provide the buyer with a homeowners association resale package. Within that package, it will show you the declarations of rules and regulations of bylaws, any assessments against the property. Now, this is very important because here's the thing. Once you receive the HOA resale package, there's something that you really need to take a look in there as far as future assessments. Because you may